They installed a ski jump aimed straight at my front yard, with professional skiers soaring over my roof at 6 a.m. When I confronted the HOA president, clipboard in hand, she just grinned and declared my property the perfect landing zone. So, I gave those skiers a landing they'd never forget, and that's how I took down an entire HOA board with nothing but manure and grit. The question is, what would you do if someone turned your private space into their playground? My name's Ethan Caldwell, 48 years old. For 12 years, my log cabin in Cedar Hollow Estates has been my pride and joy. After 2 decades in construction, I saved enough to buy this place as my semi-retirement haven. 2 bedrooms, natural wood throughout, and a mountain view that justifies every mortgage payment. My yard's not huge, just shy of an acre, but it's my sanctuary. A towering pine planted by my grandfather stands near the eastern corner. My golden retriever, Scout, has his sunny napping spots. I've nurtured native wildflowers along the edges and tend a modest vegetable patch on the south side. After years in cramped subdivisions, this outdoor retreat means the world to me. When I moved to Cedar Hollow, I knew it had an HOA. With 64 homes, mostly owned by professionals and retirees, the community valued well-kept roads and seasonal decor. The dues were fair, the rules reasonable. I even served as treasurer for 2 years, balancing the budget for neighborhood upgrades. For over a decade, it was a quiet, pleasant place. Then came the election that flipped everything upside down. Lisa Harper, a bold 37-year-old, arrived 3 years ago, snagging the biggest lot by the community lake. A former marketing exec for a high-end ski brand, she dove into every committee and event, bringing corporate flair to garage sales and drill sergeant precision to holiday contests. Her intensity rubbed longtime residents the wrong way. Last January, when our longtime HOA president, Jim, retired to Arizona, Lisa campaigned hard. Her pitch? Put Cedar Hollow on the map and boost property values by turning our tranquil mountain hamlet into a hot destination. Most folks didn't vote. Those who did like the sound of rising home prices. She won, 27-4. At her first meeting as president, Lisa rolled in with slick presentation boards and a guest, Travis Monroe, marketing director of Peak Haven Ski Resort, 7 miles away. Cedar Hollow's got untapped potential, she announced, clicking through slides. Peak Haven needs expansion space. We've got the terrain. I propose a partnership to make us a winter sports hub and raise property values by 15 fan tram. Her plan: let Peak Haven build a pro-grade ski jump on community land behind the clubhouse, with the resort maintaining it, insuring it, and paying the HOA a fee. What her polished pitch glossed over: where those skiers would land. January 12th, 6:02 a.m., 28 degrees Fahrenheit. I was dead asleep, dreaming of lake fishing, when a deafening crash jolted my cabin. Walls shook, my coffee mug smashed off the nightstand, and Scout freaked out, divvying under the bed, claws scraping the floor. I stumbled outside in my robe, expecting a fallen tree or wrecked car. Instead, a guy in a neon green ski suit stood 20 feet from my door, brushing off snow near my grandfather's pine. "Dude," he said, flashing a thumbs up, "this landing zone's unreal perfect grade for slowing down." Before I could respond, he skied off, carving tracks across my yard. Then I saw another Skiera woman in blue sailing overhead, landing precisely where he'd stood. Gradient solid, snow's prime, she radioed through her helmet mic. Noticing me, she nodded. "Morning. You're in the landing path." That's when I spotted it, a massive ski jump on the community hill, 200 yards away, aimed right at my property. My front yard was their landing strip. Still in my robe and slippers, I stormed through the snow to confront the culprit. There stood Lisa in my yard red ski jacket, clipboard, radiating smug confidence beside a skier in a purple helmet, both studying the tracks in my snow. "Lisa, what the hell is this?" I demanded. She turned, unfazed. "Ethan, great timing. We're testing landing dynamics. Isn't it thrilling?" The skier, a young woman with dark hair, smiled nervously. "Thrilling? People are flying over my house at 6 a.m. Lisa tapped her clipboard. "Your yard's perfect natural slope, pristine snow, ideal distance from the jump. Did you think to ask me?" I shot back. "The HOA doesn't need permission for community-wide benefits," she said, flipping to a letter dated October 15th when I was in Nevada helping my sister post-surgery. This vague notice mentions nothing about my yard becoming a landing pad. The committee approved it, she shrugged. Except Mrs. Larson, but she hates everything. Another skier soared overhead, landing with a thud. This is nuts, I said. Lisa smirked. It's progress, Ethan. We've got ski mags calling already. For 2 weeks, my retreat turned into a skier freeway. Daily 6 a.m. Sessions weekends included sent humans flying over my roof. Morning landings rattled my foundation. Afternoon ones cracked my ceilings. Scout, once chill, became a wreck, trembling at every swoosh, hiding under my bed. The vet diagnosed canine PTSD from the constant chaos, prescribing meds after he chewed bald spots into his fur. I logged it all. 42 landings day 1, 56 day 2, averaging 62 daily. Vibrations VYAA phone app. Photos of ceiling cracks, videos of scouts distress. I had a mountain of EVY. At the HOA meeting, Lisa gave me 3 minutes to speak, glancing at her watch. She countered my EVY with, Peak Haven's engineers say the VY Brations are safe. We've added orange flags to steer skiers off your cabin. Those flags? Useless. When I showed Scout's vet report, she waved it off. We're not liable for oversensitive pets. Maybe rehome him. The board nodded except 72-year-old Mrs. Larson, who snapped, this is abuse by proxy. We're complicit if it continues. After, she whispered, my Tom would have hated this too. Keep fighting, Ethan. By week 3, a skier crashed into Lisa's SUV, denting a brief win. But then I found 20 strangers with chairs and coolers in my yard for a VIP viewing event, due lost 75 tickets sold by the HOA. Police couldn't intervene. It was CIVYL. That night, headlights glared through my windows till 9 p.m. Trash littered my yard by morning. Lisa's response? Embrace the exposure. Desperate, I hired attorney Rachel Bennett, an HOA busting legend. After reviewing my EVY, she sighed. This is egregious overreach, Ethan. They've twisted the easement clause. But litigation takes 6 to 8 months and due law $25,000 up front. Peak Haven's legal team will drag it out. By then, your yard's toast. No options. I asked. Legally, we'd win eventually. Off record? Get creative. Just don't hurt anyone. That night, an HOA alert buzzed. Extended jump hours, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. with floodlights. I gripped my steering wheel, fuming. The law was too slow. Creative why tie it was. I called my buddy Nate Sullivan, a dairy farmer. Remember that tax audit favor? I need manure, lots of it. He laughed. I've got 3 months' worth from 100 cows. How much? For dump trucks, after dark. Next, I hit up Valley Turf Landscaping for 6 loads of wet hay and clippings, delivered discreetly. At the hardware store, I grabbed tarps, boots, gloves, and masks. Mrs. Larson emailed back. Tom would have loved this. I'll watch from my window. For 3 nights, I built my trap. Nate's manure and the landscaping waste formed of wireless slurry solid enough to hold, soft enough to splatter hidden under tarps and a thin snow layer. Cameras rolled. At 5:45 a.m., Lisa texted, Media Day Press on site. No disruptions. At 6 a.m., pro skier Jake Tanner landed in my slop zone, sinking into the muck, tumbling face first in a brown explosion. Skier 2, Mia Lopez, crashed into him. By skier 3, chaos reigned 12 pros, photographers, and a Peak Haven exec coated in stench. Lisa screeched, what have you done? I sipped coffee. Enhanced the landing organic fertilizer for my garden. My VY Ral VY Deo, HOA ski fiasco, welcome to the slop zone, hit national news. At the packed HOA meeting, Lisa demanded I pay damages. Mrs. Larson countered, UVY OLAD easement reles no consent from Ethan. A retired engineer questioned structural impacts. The board crumbled. Judge Clara Morton dismissed Peak Haven's lawsuit, noting, don't build jumps onto private land without agreements. The jump came down. Lisa lost her re-election 0 to 64, and my yard bloomed lush by summer. Scout napped peacefully again. Peak Haven sent a pass and an apology. New neighbors still chuckle about the slop zone. I just smile sometimes. You defend your ground by making it the last place anyone wants to land.